Welcome to Jennifer with Coffee, a mindset podcast for people who are looking for real change. I'm Jennifer Lauer, writer, yogi, and fitness fanatic. Lately, I've been having lots of coffee meetups, long, honest conversations that delve into mindset, identity, choices, and habits that shape our lives. I kept thinking how I wanted to share these conversations, so here we are. Each episode moves in 3 beats: an inspirational story, an interview with thinkers, builders, athletes, and artists, people who want to share their own transformations. And we'll end with a brief meditation to practice calming the nervous system. If you've been connecting with the stories and conversations here, I've also written some fiction that explore emotional spaces. One is an AI dystopia, and the others are part of a paranormal mystery series. So if you're ever curious, you can find them on my website, jenniferleelauer.com. Today's inspo is about how we are all extraordinary in our ordinariness. I know, it's a paradox. So basically, the Notes app of a writer is kind of this messy, beautiful, hilarious collection, because my Notes app is like a list of things you need from the grocery store, mixed with things that I've seen in nature, mixed with ideas for the podcast, mixed with poetry, and a list of things that I need to tell the pediatrician. All kinds of things are just conglomerated in my Notes app. So the one for today is this: anything extraordinary that any person has ever done was done by just a person. They are as flawed and imperfect as anyone else. So I'm not sure exactly where this came from, but this is from my Notes app. And I wanted to share because I think that sometimes we get stuck thinking someone who accomplishes great things in the world is more than just a person. And it is a great reminder to remember anyone who has ever done anything extraordinary was just a person like you, like me, anyone who has existed. Just a human, merely a human. An ordinary human with flaws and imperfections, also great possibility and potential. That is what we are all made of, no matter what your circumstances. And yes, there are lots of reasons why someone can become extraordinary due to their circumstances and their privilege. Remember, even someone you put on a pedestal with respect and admiration also has trials and has to get their blood drawn for lab work at the doctor. We all have the capacity for being ordinary and extraordinary. I find that both exhilarating and also calming to know people doing elite level stuff are just human too. I hope this helps. And now for our interview. Paul Pratt is a worship leader, fitness trainer, and former NFL player for the Detroit Lions, who's built a life around faith, fitness, and service. As a biomechanical trainer at Outlaw Fit Camp, he works with people ages 7 to 77, helping them develop mental focus, speed, and physical healing. He's also the founder of Second Wind Mentors, supporting single moms raising boys. Paul is an entrepreneur with his own water brand, Noah, and a gospel songwriter who calls his music angel chords. At his core, he is a helper, called to heal, serve, and bring people together through love. Hello, Paul. Welcome to Jennifer with Coffee. I'm so glad to have you here. So let's jump right in and tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to the work you do now?
Yes, hello, and thank you for allowing me to be on your platform and to speak. What brought me here, what I do now as far as being a trainer and a mentor to kids, is because I always grew up helping people, even when I was a kid. I used to play in professional football, and I remember even while playing professional football, I would train people, or people would train with me, and I was always helping the kids, telling them that they can do and accomplish anything that they desire or dream to do. The best kind of transition out of playing football is to be in the community and kind of doing what I was already doing before my playing career and after.
Yeah, so what made you pursue being in the NFL?
You know, I had my yearbook. I just knew I was always going to be a professional athlete. I just knew that I'll be in the NFL. I know I said growing up, I was like, I want to play for the 49ers and I'm playing for Detroit Lions. So I knew I was always destined to do that. My oldest brother, I'm a twin. My
Oh.
oldest brother, he kind of led the way. He was my favorite football player and hero growing up. So I kind of wanted to be like him. And he made it to the NFL to play with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I always knew inside I was going to be there. I just knew I would
So
be
you're a
there.
football family.
You can say that and say, well, my
Yeah.
dad didn't play football. My mom wasn't an athlete, but
No.
my older brother leading the way. And
Oh, cool. After you were done playing, you were mentoring while you were playing, and then you wanted to stay working as in the athletic field. So you started mentoring, younger athletes and kids. What would you say is the difference between training an adult versus a kid athlete?
when you train adults, they're kind of more set in their ways. When you
Yeah.
have young kids, their minds haven't been diluted with all the trials and circumstances and trauma that
Hmm.
adults like us already been through. So when you're getting them at 30, 40, 50 years young, you don't have to reverse train a lot of bad habits. So it's good to get kids open hearts where you can be very impressionable, prevent bad habits from starting, or if you see some kind of nipping in the bud. As a biomechanical trainer,
Hmm.
that's what I really focus on is getting kids technique and posture and stabilization in the right order, mentally and physically.
When you mentioned mentally, how important is mindset when it comes to your physical ability as an athlete?
Yeah, I always tell my athletes and my adult clients it's mindset training. And it's really mental. I mean, it's so psychological. As an athlete, as a football player, the game is literally 90% mental, as it is more than physical, because you have to mentally be disciplined every day to wake up and do the right things all the time. Being great, they say, is boring. I always hear people say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over, but
Right.
that's kind of the definition for greatness too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting awesome results. Mindset training is important. Your natural, behavior is to want to give up and quit. We have a lot of kids that don't want to push themselves. You go through a meso cycle of time to where they fight through those negative thoughts, negative self-talk, and you got to make them see. And you can't do it forcefully. You got to lead them through it.
Okay, so what's a tip that you give them to fight the negative thoughts of like, I don't feel like doing it today? I'm sure a lot of young people, all of us adults, have that feeling that I don't want to work out today, even though I know it's for my betterment.
The best tip you can give them is reality, and I give them my testimony. So you got to relate to people. You got to relate to kids. So I give them examples when I was a kid. I give them examples when I was a teen, and you make it relate back to their current circumstance. You kind of guide through it so they can see through that issue, see through that obstacle, and know what they're feeling.
Do you have a favorite story that you tell them from when you were a kid that you had to overcome?
When I was in high school, I believe that like we had a tough head coach. He's really tough and really condescending. And a lot of people grew up with scars and emotionally because of things he said. And even though I was doing great, I never got that quite acknowledgement that I feel like I needed. And I never really quite believed in myself. Even though I was succeeding, there was always that doubt. And I feel like that was because of those negative things that the coach wasn't giving to me. So I realized you have to be careful how you talk to people, especially kids. It's a way to encourage, it's a way to hold them accountable without necessarily have to tear them down. I talk to kids a way that holds them accountable, but also comes from a place of love. And you have to build a relationship with a person. They know when you do correct them that it's not coming with ill will.
Yeah, that's really important. I think there are coaches that don't have that kind of forethought when they are approaching the discipline side of athletics.
Well, coaches are human and they
Yeah.
maybe had some trauma they went through. So I feel like I see a lot of coaches tend to project. I just feel like I always want to watch that and guard that self. Like I'm always watching my tone, how I say things. The key thing is you want the kid to get better, right? So I was like, what is it to me to tear him down? That doesn't make me feel better. My goal is to get him to get from point A to point B all the way to Z the right way. I don't want to tear him down and just make him like not feel confident in himself. I want my players, my athletes, as confident as possible without having to shame them.
Yeah, I want to take it back to something you said that I think is really crucial and really significant. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it like this, but you said greatness is boring. That is so important for people to know. Greatness is made in those reps, in those really boring day-to-day reps. And I think everyone sees the glamour of someone succeeding in sports or someone succeeding in anything in life. We see the end result. But what it takes to get there is pretty boring. Everyone wants the quick fix and the go online and you see these people that have amazing physiques or amazing
Mhm.
successes in lots of different places. And you're like, I want that. What's the quick way to get that? But there isn't
Yes.
really a quick way.
There isn't. No, greatness is monotonous. It's consistency, and those failures lead to success.
Hmm.
Motor learning in the back of our head and our brains, our cerebellum, that's where our motor skills happen. When I'm training my athletes today, a new couple I trained this morning, husband and wife, when we're working on balance and stability,
Hmm.
you have to do the consecutive motor learning reps until that transitions biologically into motor programming. Now, once you go from motor learning into motor programming, now we're doing things the right way without thinking. So, first, through motor learning, we're making those same mistakes, but the mistakes come a little bit less. I couldn't get this right step. Now I'm getting that right step, but I'm not getting that. Now I'm getting the second step. Now I'm getting the right step. Now I'm getting the second step, third step, the correct way. Now we're doing things without thinking the right way. It's the thing in training called critical events. Okay.
Okay.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you go A, B, and you skip steps, well, now you have a gap, which is now you created a critical error. And we have critical error in your biomechanical technique. We have critical error in your steps, critical error in your goals you set for yourself. But that's how you get injured. That's how you make mistakes. That's why when you skip steps, you may have a glimpse of it, but you can't sustain it because your foundation was built on a faulty foundation and it will break at the first sight of trouble.
Really
And when you
interesting.
stack it up
Yep.
and you layer it, it's heavy. It doesn't break. And that's how you stack your brain up. Once you see your brain mentally, that's when it's physical.
How long do you think that it takes for something to build?
It depends on the person learning curve. Some people get it quicker, some people get it a lot longer. So I train a lot of kids that have ADHD. I literally watching them think.
Hmm.
And I know they're going to mess up on here. Oh, watch, he's going to step with the left foot. And there you go, step the left foot. How do I know that? Because I know that his mind order is not in order. So once you, it's not just about getting the body in alignment, it's about getting the brain in alignment. So it could take a few weeks, maybe up to a year. It's really dependent on the kid's learning curve. But even when you get it, you got to keep doing it so it doesn't go away. And then you keep it for a lifetime.
That is so important to hear. I think it takes the brain however long, weeks to months to a year, and then it takes the body a certain amount of time. And then
Yeah.
it's the practice on top of that,
Yeah.
which brings it back to like, you can't be great without failing. I think our culture really celebrates when people have achieved something. I love that you're teaching young people to fail and that that's just part of the process. It's just part of the lesson.
The thing about it is you're gonna have probably more lowlights than highlights in your life. You know what
Mm.
I mean? And that's okay. All the success that you see people have, there's a bunch of stuff that's quote unquote not successful that you don't see. That's why you can never hate on somebody's success.
That's so true. Because I think humans, we do lean negative and we also want to take the easy way. You know,
Yeah.
what's quick, what's easy. It's difficult to, like you said, do the boring consistency. So I'm really interested in the process between we transform when we change versions of ourselves, right? Like we've all had different versions in our lifetime. For you, you had your NFL version and you've had your training version. Is there one big transformation that you've had or someone that you've trained has had that really impacts how you operate in your life now?
What I understand about humility is I never like to take credit. I know even though I was there, I was put there to do that. I'm a man of faith. So I'll never like to say, oh yeah, I'm the reason why. Let it be. Let others praise you. Because I look at the small things. And I said, oh, he got better. You be like, why are you tripping? I get so excited when a kid gets his motor learning skills in order, when he's able to do things the right way, when he's able to step with his right foot and his left foot. There's so many small success stories to me, but as a big impact for them that I really can't name just one.
That's actually really compelling that
Mhm.
the smallest, tiniest step is what is the biggest transformation that you can make. Yeah, I feel like that's such a good analogy for life. If you can learn to take a tiny step correctly, it can change the direction of where you go.
You're exactly right. It's those small wins, small wins, small wins, small wins, small wins, and boom. I always say my year of faith was 2009. That's when I went back to the NFL. I was working at LA Fitness
Okay.
for about 10 months, but I always look at the TV. I see the NFL game was on. I was just a general manager at LA Fitness. I was still young. The following May 2009, one of my close friends at the time, he came. He was like, "Man, you ain't done yet, bro." I was like, "What? You ain't done yet?" He just come train with me with this Hall of Famer. I started training with him. I left LA Fitness in May of 2009 with no agent or contacts in the NFL, and I was on the Detroit Lions in November 2009. I cut out all the distractions. I was having fun in Hollywood, cut the drinking out, cut the women out, cut the partying out. I got locked in, focused, and I didn't look up. I didn't look at that goal. It didn't look big to me because I wasn't looking at nobody else. I wasn't staring at the TV. When you want to be something, sometimes it looks too big in your head because you're staring at it too much. You got to just take it one day at a time. When I got to the NFL, the day I got there, I was like, wait, that was it? It didn't hit me until like the off season. Keep your head down.
Yeah.
And don't tell everybody what you don't show everybody. Just go. Did one day at a time, and then I was there. I was just like, this is kind of easy. When you do those small wins and you know everything you've been through, those big successes, it's supposed to feel like, all right, that's what's supposed to happen because I did X, Y, Z. Okay. So it may look big to everybody else. You know the work you put in, it doesn't seem like a huge deal, even though it is. And that's how you remain successful, is just keep going to the next step. It's okay to celebrate here and there, but you're not supposed to celebrate too long.
Sounds like you had already shifted your identity well before you were there. Like your body was already experiencing what that would feel like. So
Yeah.
that when you were actually feeling it, it didn't feel that far.
I stopped looking at the NFL on TV. It was an off season. I started looking at who was getting picked up. I didn't look up. I
Wow.
didn't look up until I was like, oh, I'm here. Oh, this is at LA Fitness. Now I'm in the locker room, standing next to Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson. Go right to practice. Didn't have to train for him, just right to practice. I was like that? And I was like, okay, God, just like that, huh? So I'll tell my athletes over the years, the higher your distractions, the lower your focus. So I always let my athletes know, hey, what's your biggest distraction right now? What is it? Some say their phones, some say it's TikTok,
Mhm.
some say it's girls. You
Mhm.
have to put that in perspective. And once you understand what those distractions are, you're able to get there. Anybody can succeed if you just be disciplined. You have to stay disciplined to your gut and consistent.
That is really inspiring. Great advice. So, I have a question about training kids and children. Do you have any advice for parents whose children are not athletes, are not doing a sport, but want them to be more active in this very screen-filled world? Kids are growing up on screens from such a young age, and being physically active, sports is kind of the one way that parents know. But what if your kid is not interested and playing sports, what your advice would be to help get your kids more physically active?
Train with me.
Awesome.
Because whether you play with sport or not, though, I'm bring my background, I'm gonna bring my life, my testimony, my NFL Hall of Fame mindset that I learned from other Hall of Famers and other professionals and other sports and track and field and life into the session. See, I'm not training you just for your sport. I train people for their life. So my 77 years young lady I train tomorrow, I train her so she can live longer. Whether it's a sport or not, stay active. I tell kids, even though he wants to quit football, I say, okay, I understand, but you should stay in the sport even if you don't feel like doing it because I know you like it, but for whatever reason you turned off. I feel like that's a small way of quitting on yourself. And once you start quitting now, the same way you build up good habits, you can build up quit habits. Whether they're playing a sport, but something to keep you disciplined and training your body is the best way to keep your tempo, is the best way to stay disciplined mentally.
And so, if someone is interested in training with you, do you offer any sort of online training or is it just in person in Dallas?
Yeah, no, I have an online two kids I've been training since they were like 11. Now they're at St. John Bosco. However, Brandon is on one of the top teams in the nation with St. John Bosco. And his dream school was to go to Ohio State, where he just got offered by Ohio State last summer. He just
Oh,
got offered by Oklahoma University. So he has multiple offers, and that's because he stayed disciplined. We stayed disciplined during the pandemic when nobody else was training.
right.
And all those just compounded over now. I do online
Online.
training.
Okay. And so where's the best place to find you if someone is interested in online training for their kids or themselves?
Yeah, well, you can find me on social media
What's your at?
at Coach by Pratt,
Okay.
or if you want to find me on Facebook, just my name, Paul Pratt.
Okay.
It'll be me with the mustache. They can
Awesome.
hit me up on email, pspratt3@gmail.com, and we can get a FaceTime type of sessions going on.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so inspiring. The way that you think about training and the way that you think about life is thoughtful and really valuable for people to hear. That it's consistency. You have small wins, like you said, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're in the NFL.
Well, you know what? I read a book. It's called Choose Your Heart. Choose Your Heart.
Ooh.
And it basically saying no matter what, it's gonna be hard. Take it easy, you're gonna pay for it down the line. So why not do the hard stuff now so later on in life it'll be easier for you? Choose your heart. It's hard to be lazy and out of shape. Why? Because you're out of breath, you're out of shape. Now you have to go through these medical problems because you didn't take care of your health. So why not choose the hard stuff now? Quitting is hard. Mentally, you're gonna be depressed, you're gonna feel guilt, you have shame.
Yeah, is that something that you tell people too? Is if you do commit to the consistent, boring, getting in your reps, what is the benefit of doing that in the future? Say you put your head down for like a year, what would you say is the benefit?
It's gonna you're gonna come out on the other side probably further than you thought. Focus on your craft and your talent and your gift. Too far to your left, look too far to your right. Stay focused and just stay within your bubble and don't be jealous of people around you.
You know what I find for myself, how I think about jealousy is if I start feeling jealous about something, I look at it like a signal that that's
It
something
is.
you want, right?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
don't have to get lost in it. It can just be a signal. Oh, that person has something or is something that maybe I want to be. So
Mhm.
instead of looking at it like, oh, I begrudge them for having
Yeah,
that, maybe I need to focus on how do I get there?
exactly. Exactly. It's okay to be inspired. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right.
It's okay for people to inspire you and use that. Oh man, just get inspired with love. You know what I'm saying? It's not good to covet somebody else's success and then be angry. If somebody's success makes you feel bad, then you need to check yourself in the mirror because you can't hate on somebody else's blessing.
So true. Well said. Okay, so we end each episode with this question.
Mhm.
Paul, how do you take your coffee?
Straight black. I just had some coffee this morning at La Finca Cafe right around the corner from my gym. Cinnamon coffee, straight black, no chaser.
Wait, black with cinnamon?
They brew it for 6 hours
Oh, a
before
cinnamon
they
flavored coffee.
cinnamon flavor, straight black, no creamer. I just like it straight.
That sounds
Very
so good.
faithful. It's a great coffee. And I'm still up. I took it at 7 a.m. and I still feel it. I
Wait,
couldn't
what
even
was
take a
the
nap.
place again? Shout out the
It's called
place.
La Finca.
La Finca.
La
All right.
Finca. Yeah.
Okay. Well, next time I'm in Dallas, I'm gonna go
Come
get
through.
some
Come through.
cinnamon
Come check.
coffee.
Yeah. Come work out at my new gym facility that I'm part of. It just opened up over the weekend. It's been a lot of great feedback. I've seen people putting great reviews about the classes. So it's like it's blowing up really
What's it called?
fast. It's called Outlaw Fit Camp.
Outlaw Fit Camp.
It's in the Frisco area. It's blowing up. And it's only
Awesome.
been a couple of days. And today was a great day.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Paul. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
A request before we take our breaths today. We're putting together our first Q&A episode, and we'd love to hear from you. It could be a question about your life or even something discussed on the podcast. If you feel like sharing, send your questions my way at Jennifer Lee Lauer on Instagram or email at questions@kingsofcontent.com. That's content with a K. So at Jennifer Lee Lauer on Instagram or questions@kingsofcontent.com. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Finally, to end each episode, we take 3 intentional breaths together. Today, we're going to breathe into clarity. Sit quietly and ask for insight on a current challenge or something you've been trying to figure out. Let's take a breath in, hold it at the top, and exhale. Another breath in And hold it. Long, slow breath out. And our final breath in. Hold it at the top. And exhale, slow. May your day be filled with clarity. Thank you for listening to Jennifer with Coffee. Follow us on Instagram at Jennifer with Coffee and on Substack. This has been a Kings of Content production. Music by Oreo CC.